And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Aardvarks vs. Aardvarks. In fact, I even have a little Aardvark from the company. He sent an Aardvark along with the game. In this game, there's some really neat concepts to it. In fact, I'm going to show you this in a second, but there's these little cool metal coins, and the Aardvarks have little noses that pick them up with magnets. Well, that's a cool thing, but is the game good? The game starts with an anthill in the middle of the table, and each player is going to be playing different cards connecting to it. So each player is going to add one card that connects to the anthill in the middle of the table. And it's even possible for other anthills to show up. So you have to follow rules when connecting things, so you can connect pathways to cards that are already there. So I can't connect this way, but I could maybe put this card up there if I wanted to. Now, players are going to also have a handful of cards. These cards have different symbols in the four corners that you'll be able to use as the game goes by. One thing you'll be able to do is movement. And so, I'm actually not sure. When you play like a card with a 2, you can move 2 spaces. And if there's an ant somewhere on the board, you can even move and pick that ant up. You have a little magnet on your Aardvark and move it to the next spot. Now, where are you moving these to? Well, you need to build houses. You'll need to play cards with house tokens to show that you're building a house. And you need to be in a clearing, and your Aardvark needs to be there. And so it costs 1 house token to build level 1, 2 to build level 2, etc. And if you have 10, you can just straight up build all 4 levels of your house. And the levels of the house are just different things like this. You can also play a card that has an ant on it. If you play a card with an ant on it, you then can drop an ant off at one of the anthills. If there's some Aardvarks there, they're going to fight for it. Otherwise, first person to get there is going to take it. You can drop ants off when you're moving at your house. The first person to get 3 ants to their house is the winner. But you can go and fight someone else's house and steal from them. When fighting someone else, you're going to discard a card from your hand with these attack symbols on it, and then they have to do at least that many back, and you keep going till somebody wins. And you can steal an ant from someone else. When you go to someone's house, you just need to play attack cards equal to the level of their house. You destroy one level of their house and take an ant. So the higher your house, the harder it is for someone just to run in and grab an ant. That's pretty much the game. Oh, and also you can play a card from your hand. You can add more to the paths of this setup here. Now, that's the way that the game works, is that you are going to be using a card from your hand, playing it to move, to attack, to build a house, to put out an ant. You can even do nothing and just discard cards and draw new ones, or you can just do nothing and draw an extra card at the end of your turn. You always draw 1 card at the end of your turn, but you could draw 2 if you take no actions. Once someone does get 3 ants, they're going to win if no one can stop them within a turn. If someone does stop them, then you keep going until someone has 3 ants. They declare the end of the game, and everyone gets 1 turn and doesn't stop them, and they still have 3 ants, in which case that person is the winner of the game. I was a little worried when I got this box, because the outside of this box, while it's neat that they made a bit of mosaic here with Aardvarks, just doesn't really grab me, right? Aardvarks versus Aardvarks. And the cards themselves are really not that interesting. It's a bunch of grass clearings. It's really generic graphics, especially the icons here. It looks like a prototype, honestly. Now, the Aardvarks themselves and these coins are great. I would love to have these kind of coins in all sorts of games. They're really neat. And the fact that they have this little magnet and can pick that up, that's really cool. And that seems to be the extent of the components in the game. You know, that's where they put all their effort, because having these are boring, and for some people colorblind, this is going to look almost the same here. And the cards themselves, so kind of a generic production, except for the coins and the Aardvarks. It's like they put all their eggs in one basket in that way. And that's also going to attract people to the game. They're like, ooh, I can do this. But the question is it fun? Well, this is one of those times where even though there's a cool magnet thing and cool pieces, the game itself is pretty bad. Ah, man, there's just no game here, really. The idea of using the cards to build a big underground thing for Aardvarks, that's cool. The idea of using them also to do different actions, that's great. But it's not interesting, even remotely. I build my house as close to the pile as I can, put ants there, run, grab them. Why do they have all these twisty turns and paths and stuff when none of that means anything? Why would you build these big twisty turns? To get more points the farther away from the anthill your house is? No, there's nothing that really kind of sets that apart, so you might as well get it as close as you can. You say, well, then other guys can come steal them from you. Sure, they can in basically just a luck of the draw combat. Oh, I played this many attack. Oh, I played one back. The theme is good. Aardvarks getting ants is great. Although I'm not really quite sure why you're stealing ants from each other, but whatever. And I like the tagline, the ants never win. But it's just boring. I go get ants, bring them back, we fight with cards. There's no real tension. There's no real difficult decisions, really. You're going to build your house as high as you can just to make it difficult for someone else to steal ants from it. And then you're just going to start moving ants there as fast as you want. And taking ant from someone else is way harder than just going in and getting an ant in the first place. And why is there this many cards in the game? This has the idea of, ooh, you're going to see underground networks and building all this stuff. And it just never happens. It stays really small. And so, man, I was hoping to be fun, but it is not. Cannot recommend Aardvarks vs. Aardvarks.
Dice Tower Judgment, really boring and random.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.